Hi everyone, I'm Jack the Rambling Raconteur, and I hope that you're doing well. I hope that 2022 is ending well for you. However it's gone, whether it's been a really positive year, whether it's been a tougher year to get through for some folks, I do hope that the end of this year has been positive. In this video, I want to just say thank you to a bunch of folks, a bunch of channels in particular, but I want to start by saying thank you to all of you. You make this possible, you make all these interactions possible. I appreciate it. I know my wife appreciates it, appreciates the outlet that this has provided for me, for each of us, hopefully to find some joy together. And not just in what we read, but in our lives. But I did want to mention several specific channels that I really have just found that I spent a lot of time watching this year. And thank those folks for the time, the energy, the creativity they've shown in their videos this year. So this is in a sort of particular order. So first up, I want to thank Mark over at Book Time with Elvis. Mark his health's been a little bit better here as we end the year, but Mark organized two Herculean reading groups this year. One was to celebrate the African Cup of Nations for football fans internationally, and got a bunch of folks to read African literature. I was fortunate in that I had Cameroon, and so The Sun Hath Looked Upon Me by Calixte Biala was a book that saw me through quite a bit of that tournament, but I absolutely loved the reading I got to experience and the reading that a lot of other folks got to experience. And then he came around and did it again for the Men's World Cup here as we ended the year. And again, any type of reading experience, reading tournament, reading challenge that gets folks reading more globally is something I am down for. So thank you, Mark. Next up, Sean D. Standfast, and I'll link all these channels in the description box in case you don't follow any of them. Sean D. Standfast did an incredible series across sort of the second half of the year as he was doing his Desert Island books, in which he had different people come on, not always folks with channels. Sometimes it was, I believe there are a few folks who sort of just comment regularly who have been able to participate, and they shared 8 books they would take on a desert island, plus one luxury item and one disc, one album or something to listen to. And those conversations were far ranging. They were wonderful. He has a whole playlist with all of those. I was fortunate enough to be included here in December, and I had great fun. The conversations are just wonderful. They are long. They're hour and a half conversations, but they're absolutely wonderful. So thank you to Sean, and I look forward to seeing how that playlist continues to evolve with the Desert Island books. Up next are a bunch of channels that I sort of started watching this year for a variety of reasons, and sort of what I really enjoyed in each of these channels. So first up, Alana Estelle. Her sense of humor is fantastic. She reads primarily sort of European, US classics, modern classics, even like modern retellings of Greek classics. And she just has this wonderful sense of humor, this very dry sarcasm that underlies plenty of her videos. But she seems to really enjoy what she reads, and to make that sort of a palpable joy in her videos. And so I've really enjoyed watching her channel. I, again, look forward to seeing what she continues to do across this next year. Up next, Michelle's Melancholia, which is one of my new favorite sort of horror channels. I don't read horror exhaustively. I read a huge amount of it when I was younger. And I enjoy dipping in and out of horror. And her channel has been another great avenue to see sort of a different perspective on horror, and sort of from her own perspective, what she appreciates about what she's reading, and sometimes what she doesn't enjoy or appreciate in what she's reading. She's also had some great science fiction videos that have all been really enjoyable. Up next, Quentin, who's over there at Idjit Reads and Rambles. He reads a lot of transgressive fiction. He also, though, reads a lot of poetry. And he read The Tale of Genji this year. He also might be the only other person on BookTube who has read When Adam Opens His Eyes by Zhang Jung-il, which was one of my least favorite books I read last year. And I think it might have been one of Quentin's favorite books that he read. So even though he and I have often diametrically opposing viewpoints, his, again, sense of humor is wonderful. His sense of personality is wonderful. I'm really excited to see, how his channel continues to grow, the different ways he shares his reading with the rest of us. Up next, another channel I discovered that I have watched a number of videos from and really enjoyed, Jason over at Channel of a Disappointed Man, who joked that he's been a little less disappointed this year as he's been able to get more and more subscribers. And I discovered his channel through this incredible video. It's about 20 minutes long, in which he does this overview of Thomas Bernhard and an introduction into Bernhard's writing, and talking about how he used some of Bernhard's nonfiction memoirs, Gathering Evidence, and I can't remember what the other one is called, for his own, I believe, master's thesis. So his channel has been this really cool revelation for me this year. I, again, look forward to learning from him and with him as he continues to make videos. Another channel I discovered this year, Netta Celine. She reads primarily contemporary works. She always provides this really interesting social or historical context, though, around what she's reading or around different sort of reading events or themed events, themed months that occur. And so her perspective is fantastic. She's very knowledgeable. And of everybody who's reading contemporary classics, she might be the one I trust the most and enjoy the most. She hasn't been making quite as many videos as some of these other folks. And I hope that she continues to make videos because, again, someone I love to learn from. Then we have Sean over at Travel Through Stories, who I somehow only discovered this year. I think he was making videos in the past, but I've only started watching his channel this year. He has all sorts of great videos on Scandinavian literature, Icelandic sagas. Just he has a fantastic channel, very knowledgeable. That's sort of his wheelhouse, but he also reads globally. He's got some great videos on South American literature, Eastern European literature, and so Sean is someone who he dives deep, and he loves to sort of connect the dots and find those influences, trace those influences from one writer to another. And that's something that I really enjoy doing. It feels like I'm sort of reading 3 or 4 dimensionally around a work because I'm seeing where it came from and what preceded that work, or perhaps what it's pointing towards. And so just love his content. Then some folks who've been around. I've been around their channels for a while, and I still love what they're doing. First up, Carrie from Very Literary. Carrie, she hosts her book club every month where folks are reading nonfiction, but she also has been doing all of her marathon training and sharing that with us. And that's just an incredible accomplishment. I think it should be noted and celebrated. I also enjoy her perspective sort of as a librarian, a former teacher. That's always really fun. Then we have the Codex Cantina. I almost met Una. We were intersecting. He was coming into Phoenix. I was sort of coming into Phoenix back home, but we were remodeling, so I wasn't really staying here. We were down in Tucson. But hopefully we'll connect sometime in the future. But as always, I love the videos he and Crypto do, the way that they're constantly valuing the short story, because I think short stories are incredible, and I think more folks would enjoy them if they just give them a chance and read them. But also the way that he's very intentional, he and Crypto are very intentional about trying to find stories from around the world and really try to have a very wide and diverse reading. That I think it's admirable, something I strive for myself. Up next, we have Brian over at Bookish. We read Saga of the Volsungs together this year. I loved it. I think it was Brian's first experience with an Icelandic saga, like the full piece. And I just had a great time reading it, discussing it with him. Brian and I always have conversations around, he's a retired teacher, so we have conversations around education and what's going on in my classroom, or his thoughts on things, and I always appreciate that. I learn from him. I view him as sort of a mentor in some ways, even though we've never actually taught at the same school. So thank you, as always, Brian. And finally, Noah from Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse. I did actually meet Noah. He was much taller in real life than I expected. We hit up a bookstore. We didn't paint Atlanta red or do anything naughty. But it was very cool to meet Noah. He is just as much of a live wire in person as he is on his channel. And he's just as wonderful and humane and kind and fun in person as he is on his channel. So that was really cool. He and I have discussed reading something together this year. Don't know quite what that's going to be. Maybe something Argentine. But I look forward to that. And I look forward to, Noah and I sort of started channels around the same time. And so it's been fun to do videos and just sort of meet people at the same time as he does, or right after he does. And just become friends that way. That has been really fun, really cool. So again, thank you to everybody. And I really do hope that this year is ending well, that 2023 is starting well for everybody. All the best. Thanks.